Welcome back to the Origins Redesign series. This time we're going to be going over the Guardian Angels and how their designs changed in the finale of Season 1 of Origins. Feel free to check out the previous video on sidekick characters for Origins Season 2. Obviously, in this video, the designs I'm going to be drawing on screen are designs we have already seen in the show. I just wanted to do some brief explanations and show you guys some of the in-depth thought and detail that went into these designs. Starting off with May, obviously, it's very hard to change the design of your main character midway through a show. So I obviously had to keep it very similar to the previous design. But I added a couple of things that just helped it stand out just a tiny bit more. Firstly, we upped the contrast, of course, with most characters in the redesigns. All of the colors in the originals were super dull, so now we made them nice and bright. May's fur color is actually peach because peach is symbolic to the color of empathy, which is something that May gains throughout her journey. And of course, we made her golden eyes a lot more piercing to sort of tie everything together with the golden pocket watch. And the only thing that's really new about her design is the pink ears and pink nose. I just think adding an extra color onto her character really makes it stand out. I know there was a lot of people complaining they couldn't tell if the stripes were on the inside of the ear or the outside of the ear, so now hopefully it's a little more easy to tell. They're on the outside, for the record. And of course she kept her lovely stripes and star because she is nothing without them. And that is all the notes I have for our lovely girl May. Again, couldn't change too terribly much, but hey, you kinda can't beat the original. She's kind of awesome the way she is. It's Phoebe's turn. Oh boy, did I change a lot about Phoebe. Since May is a mixed breed cat, I decided to kind of go crazy with her design. It doesn't really have to match any parent's sort of design, but out of the two of them, I think she looks the most like her mother. Her mother definitely represents the more of the ragamuffin instead of the tabby in Ragamuffin Tabby. I thought it'd be super interesting if Phoebe was also a mixed breed. So she has more of a shorter hair instead of a floofier hair. I don't know, there was just something so interesting about making her fur more slim and, I don't know, more soft. It really helps her contrast to James, who's definitely more of a spitfire, angrier character, where she's more of the soft, quiet one. And then I wanted to add 2 floofs onto the side of her face instead of 3. 3 was just kind of the default for a long time were my art style, but now I do it very symbolically. So she has 2 floofs because there are 2 floofs in her life that are super important to her, and that's James and May. Of course, we upped the contrast on her eyes, so now she has these lovely piercing blue eyes. And I gave her a slight patterning. Now she has a little bit of white on her tail, she has a little bit of stripes on the end, and a little bit of a stripe on her back, and a tiny bit on her ears. And of course, with the pink ears and the pink nose, we can tell what is the inside of the ear and what's the outside. And I've been really experimenting with different types of noses, and Phoebe has one of the new ones, and I think it's really fun, and it really fits her. I really like how her design now calls to her more. It definitely fits her a whole lot more than the previous one. In my opinion, of course. James, oh boy. I call him my Cheeto boy because now he's a Cheeto boy, and for good reason. Orange is a lovely color, and if we're gonna have an orange tabby, oh, we're gonna have fun with it. So I went ahead and made it a slightly more red than orange. I figured May's their kid, but she's not gonna look identical to them, so I definitely wanted them to both stand out as May's parents, but I also want them to be individuals at the same time. So that's why I decided to make him slightly more red than May, and now he definitely pops when he's on screen. He's got these bright colors, he has these amazing stripes. He's got a lot more floof to him. I added a bunch of more fluff in the ears and on the chest, and he's definitely the fluffier out of everyone in the family. It's been really interesting to sort of give these characters new life. It's been very fun. It's been a lovely experience of getting comments and suggestions and learning along the way on how to make these characters more unique and honestly a lot better looking than the previous. For James, I think this turned out really great. I love how colorful he is. He looks a lot more lively, a lot more spiky. I think this is a wonderful Cheeto boy. Our boy Simon is next. Oh my goodness, I've always loved Simon's design. Fun fact, Simon and Devo were based off of ferrets, so their designs are actually more ferret-like than cat-like, which is weird when you think about it, but I decided to pay a little bit of attention to that and do a little nod to that, especially with the tail for Simon. Previously, the tail was a lot darker, but I decided to have the back stripe lead into the tail now. So that way it's just sort of like more ferret-like and calls back to the original inspiration for the design. And of course, they're Wi-Fi boys. I love how the fandom has called their stripes on their face Wi-Fi, and now I constantly call him Wi-Fi boy, and that is just very funny to me. I gave Simon some different types of floofs. He's got a little more of the emo hair because he's an edgier character, to say the least. And I think it fits him super well. And I also like giving them different face shapes and types. He's got a really long snout. He's definitely more of a, like, lanky, angular character because he is the smart one. He is the logical one. I feel that fits him very well, and of course he is part wildcat, so I decided to include some of that floof in the ears and give him a little bit of those darker tones. And overall, I think Simon turned out really, really great. Not much different from the original, of course. That's going to be the case for most of these designs, but I still think the new one has some pretty good improvements. On to the brother of Simon, Devo, a fan favorite because he is so goofy. I had to go bonkers with Devo's design because there's just so much we could do with this character. He's part wildcat, he's got the spunk, he's got the personality, so I really wanted the design to match. I didn't want to take away his little socks, so instead, I did the same thing I did with Violet in the past, and I said, hey, let's make him have some pants. So now he has socks and pants, and it's really cute. And it also helps him look a lot more connected to his dad, which is his wildcat side. And I gave him 3 floofs on the side, and then the same 2 floofs that Simon has. Except instead of his hair being emo and droopy, it's actually up and spunking out, and I decided to have one little floof that's always out of place, and it's sort of like floating there in the design. I just think that that's pretty fitting for his character. I think Devo was one of the very first characters I ever had that had the pink ears, and it really opened my eyes to how many characters should have pink or red or different colors of the inside of the ear. So thank you, Devo. You inspired a huge, amazing change in this design of this series. And of course, he wouldn't be nothing without his Wi-Fi. The reason why it looks like Wi-Fi, for clarification, is because I don't do line art for most of the patterning on my characters. It's usually just with the coloring. So I bet if I did the line art stripes, it would look a lot less like Wi-Fi, but now it's sort of a staple. It was something I did to animate the characters extremely quickly as well, because I was making Origins in 12 episodes, like, once a month, like an insane person, so it was extremely rushed. And now it's just part of their design. I don't think I can change it. I think it's just a staple now. And honestly, it works. It works with my art style. I like it. It can stay. It can stay. Alright, Devo, you silly little guy, we love you. Look at you, you look so great. Next up is Kate, May's best friend. We love Kate. I went a little insane on this redesign. I think this is the one out of all the Guardian Angels that I went cuckoo bonkers over and just decided, you know, Kate's a calico. Let's go insane. I really upped the ante on a bunch of spots and patterns and freckles and, you know, things that are so fun to animate. Great idea, me. But look. It turned out super good. She is adorable. I mean, the different patternings and colorations and stuff make her design so unique now. And it just really fits her. I don't know. There's just something missing about her old design. She just looked so dull, and calicos have more than 2 colors, that's for darn sure. I don't think it said on her sheet that she was a calico, but it might have been something that I developed later on due to her backstory with her family and all that, but she's definitely at least part calico cat, so she needs to have those spots and different colors. I even originally tried to put some stripes on her, but it was just way too loud. So now we just got cute little spots galore, and I really upped her eye color to be a lot more bronze, because brown eyes are some of my absolute favorite eye colors because there's just such a broad range of beautiful ambers, beautiful bronzes, like there's just coppers, beautiful colors that you can do with brown eyes. Other than that, she still got her collar, and she's a more heavier set character, now you can tell, through her floofy lovely design. And that is Kate. Wow, the before and after is crazy. She looks like the same character, but also now she has a whole lot more to her, and I think that that is exactly what we were going for. Let's talk about Iris, otherwise known as Simon and Devo's mother. She is also part wildcat, for the record, so she definitely has the Wi-Fi, she has the stripes, she has the darker patterns. You'll see on the back of the tail it's super dark, but then there's a lighter stripe with dark stripes on top, which looks extremely similar to Simon's old design. And I think it just really worked for her, way more than it works for Simon. They're related, but all of these patterns are not the same, and it makes them individuals, and I really like that. The thing that I think defines her the most is the darker nose and the silver eyes. It really adds to her mysteriousness, in my opinion, whereas everyone else has the lighter colors. In the end, I think Iris is a very, very complex character, and I know most people might not like her very much because of the choices she made, but I think it's also very important to show that not every parent makes the best choices, and, you know, your actions have consequences. Simon went all that way to see her, only to turn around and leave empty-handed. But sometimes that's just what you have to do. I think she teaches an important lesson, and I still really enjoy her character. Even if it's not the best, she is following what she believes in and did follow through and put actions towards what she believed in. Major thing I changed about her design is that she used to have a darker chest. I really wanted to draw attention to the areas that related her to Simon and Devo. And with the darker chest, it just didn't look right, and a lighter chest didn't look right either. So I just went ahead and made her look a little bit more like Simon, where it's all the same color. And that is how Iris turned out. And of course, we have to do the twins, starting with Heather. Oh boy, there were so many designs I made for May and Simon's kids. Oh my gosh, I will put them on screen now, just a couple of them to show you how different these designs could have been, and the reasoning why I chose the ones that I did. Why I chose Heather is that she looks like her family. She looks like Phoebe, she also looks like May, but she has the slight wildcat to her like her dad, and then she also looks spunky and crazy, kind of like Devo. It just relates her to all of her family members. I think that's why I chose that design for Heather over some of the others, is just it really ties everyone in to her design. And I'm not gonna lie, the reason why I chose Sai is because the color palette is just literally adorable. He's just a little cappuccino. He's just a little cappuccino coffee baby, and I love that so much. So for Heather, I definitely kept the Wi-Fi. Of course, I had to keep the stripes on the face, but I also decided to add a little bit of Iris into her and have the lighter stripe on the back with the dark stripes on top. But for Heather, I decided to go more Phoebe as well. I decided to draw from the grandmothers, I realize, because Heather's going to now have the more short-haired tail and patterns like Phoebe. She still has some floof to her though, because she definitely has the spunk, just like her Uncle Devo. And then of course, because she shows off a little more of the wildcat than her brother, she's got the floof in her ears, her grandmother and her father's amazing blue eyes. And we can't get enough of the pink nose and pink ears, so everybody gets it. You get pink ears, and you get pink ears. I really think her new design, it adds so much life to her. I don't know, there's just something about it that also makes her an individual from her brother. Heather, You are a star. And speaking of her brother, Cy, also named Cypress, we just call him Cy for short, because sometimes calling him Cypress makes me a little emotional. Cy's design has always been very peak to me from the beginning, but I did, update the colors to match more of the family members now, and I actually went with something with the grandfather for Cy. I went with the fluffier white chest, which is something that James has. So it was very interesting drawing from different family members with each of these characters, because for Cy, I went more of the grandfather route, and then for Heather, I went more of the grandmother route. The only thing about Cy is that he is going to show off more of Simon's features, naturally, because of the mane coloration. I did want him to look more like his father because he acts more like his father too. He is the smarter one, he's the more brains over bronze character, and he's got the 2 floofs on the top of the head and the side, just like most of his family members on that side of the family. And of course the stripes, oh my gosh, the stripes! It resembles May's stripes, also resembles James' stripes. And then I decided to add the dark nose, which is from his other grandfather, which is going to be Simon and Devo's dad, who never actually appeared on screen, unfortunately. But he does have that darker colored nose because he is the full-fledged wildcat. And I thought it'd be really fun to have that really dark color against all of the really bright colors that Cy actually has with his stripes and his chest now. And that is our baby boy Cy! That's all the Guardian Angel redesigns. Let's do a quick recap. May, of course, had to stay extremely similar. She just has some brighter colors and pinker ears, so now you can tell where the stripes are. Yippee! Phoebe got a lot more slimmer design, definitely a lot more sleek, a lot softer to match her personality. And she, of course, has some new patterns, which really adds to her character. James is super colorful now, and I love how he turned out. We love the Cheeto Man in this series. And he also sports some extra floof now, which is super great. Who doesn't love more fluff? Simon resembles more of the inspiration to his character. He looks a little bit more ferret-like, which might be slightly silly, but I think it's fun. And of course now he has a lot more longer snout, he's a lot taller, he has a lot more shape to his design. Devo is a little ball of energy. He's got some new patterns to resemble the wildcat side of his family. And of course he has some floofs out of place. He's got the spunk in his design now. Kate's design completely changed. Now she has so many new patterns, spots, colors. She really actually looks more like a calico. And she has a lot more character to her in her design. She has a lot more floof, she is a big girl, and we love her so much. Iris now resembles both of her children, but also has her own individuality, and I really love the darker features on this character. Heather looks like every part of her family combined. She is just the embodiment of her family, and I think that that's really cool that we managed to get a little bit of everyone onto this character, and she definitely wears it with pride. Of course, Cy carries a lot of his features of his family now as well, and all of the colors are just so wonderful with this character. They always have been and always will be, but gosh, I think that adding just a little more colors to this character really made him pop. And that concludes the redesigns for the Guardian Angels of the Origins Reboot series. In our next and final episode of the Origins redesign series, we will be making some brand new characters to introduce into the 2nd and 3rd season of Origins. I'm currently writing the episodes for season 2 of Origins, and it's already calling for quite a few new characters. We're also just going to be making some background designs for characters who might just be kind of lounging around in the background, so feel free to leave any suggestions below if you'd like to see any sort of breeds of cats and dogs or forest animals like raccoons or foxes. We're gonna do all sorts of amazing fun designs in the next episode. And I'd love to hear your input. If you'd like to have a pink squirrel, we could do that. If you'd like to have another purple cat, we could do that. We can do virtually anything we like. I just can't wait to make some crowd characters, some background characters, and even some very important characters. And of course, we're going to be making some Reapers. Don't worry about that. Bring lots of fun characters for Reapers, okay guys? But until then, thanks so much for watching and for all the support with the reboot. Pretty soon we'll have all of our designs wrapped up and we'll be moving on to the production of the show.